G'day, it's fugitive Australian journalist Shane Dowling from the website kangaroocourtofaustralia.com. Now, Victoria's about to go to the election and Victorian Premier Dan Andrews is ducking and weaving in relation to a $3.4 million grant he gave to the Health Workers Union, which is currently under investigation by the IBAC, which is a Victorian Anti-Corruption Commission. Now, everyone in the Labor Party and union movement know that the Health Workers Union is nothing but a fraud unit overseen by Bill Shorten and his crime gang of Diana Asmar, David Asmar and Andrew Landernew. And previously it was also Kimberly Kitching, who was married to Andrew Landernew, but she passed away in March this year. She was a federal senator. And they've been rorting that union since 2012 when they took control from Kathy Jackson. Kathy Jackson was ripping off the union like left, right and centre. She ultimately got charged for ripping them off, I think $100,000, even though it was probably more like $1 million or more. And I don't think she did any jail time. That's the latest I've heard. So they've been ripping it off since 2012. Major league fraud and theft from the union. And Dan Andrews gave them a $3.4 million grant, or that was a total amount of 2 grants, just before the 2018 election. And Dan Andrews knew, like everyone in the Labor Party know, like everyone in the union movement know, it's a fraud scam. They're ripping off that union like there's no tomorrow. Now, the Health Workers Union is actually the Health Services Union, Victorian #1 branch. They have 4 branches, 4 different union branches in Victoria. Every other state, they just have 1 branch, the Health Services Union. But in Victoria, they have 4 different ones. And the Victorian #1 branch, the Health Services Union, rebadged as a Health Workers Union because their reputation for fraud and theft was so bad. They were trying to hide that bad reputation. And they got that bad reputation predominantly from the Trade Union Royal Commission, as well as a number of court proceedings at the Fair Work Commission. And the Fair Work Commission in 2016 even sent them a solvency warning because they were almost bankrupt because they were ripping off the union so much. I'll give you one example. In 2013, they were paying roughly $1.8 million in wages. The following year, it went up to $3.4 million, almost doubled in wages. Why did it almost double in wages? Because all these Labor Party cronies and crooks jumped on the payroll, doing nothing, absolutely nothing. One was Kimberly Kitching, for example. She got a job as general manager in 2012 when they won the election from Kathy Jackson. But the problem is, unions don't have general managers. That was just a bullshit job title she was given. To jump on the payroll, 120 grand a year, whatever it was, company car or union car, paid for. And that's because they helped run the election against Kathy Jackson. Kimberly Kitching and her husband Andrew Landernew did. They helped finance it as well. Money they would have received from other unions. I know they were given some money from Bill Shorten's old union, Australian Workers Union. But that's another story. Bottom line is Dan Andrews gave $3.4 million to the Health Workers Union, not because he thought they were going to do the training they were claiming they were going to do. He knew they'd be ripping off a large chunk of it, but he gave them that money because he wanted their support internally within the Labor Party. Unions have a huge control over the Labor Party, huge voice in there, and he wanted the support of the Health Workers Union. So he gave them $3.4 million in grants, even though he knew they were running a fraud scam. It's absolutely disgraceful. And he's been able to silence the IBAC, which is their Corruption Commission. In 2019, he limited the number of public hearings they could have by saying it had to be serious and systemic corruption, otherwise they couldn't have a public hearing. He muzzled them, so he himself wouldn't be forced to have public hearings. He's given evidence 4 times in the last 4 years. That's what we know of. So the number of times he's given evidence could be a lot higher, we don't know. But in 2019, he made sure they were silenced. He passed laws saying they couldn't have public hearings unless it was systemic or serious corruption, which apparently a Premier giving $3.4 million in a dodgy grant to a dodgy union is not serious enough for the IBAC to have public hearings, apparently. So you have to wonder how serious it has to be. But that was Dan Andrews muzzling him. Let's have a listen to what he said in the last couple of days at a press conference in relation to the IBAC.
Well, I'm not here to talk no, and I've answered your question. I have answered your question. You can refer to my statement. You need to ring them. The giveaway here, it's independent. It's in the name. They're independent, and I'm not their spokesperson. I'm just not, and I'm not going to be commenting on things that may or may not be live, things that may or may not be in the court, things that certainly the government's not a party to. I'm not a party to it, so I'm not really sure what further I could offer.
That's right. That's Dan Andrews saying, oh, they're independent. Well, bullshit, they're independent because you've passed laws to muzzle them. So if they're so independent, how come you've been able to pass laws to muzzle them? It's bullshit. He's lying to the public. And the journalists down there, Victoria, are doing a very sloppy job. So I'll be running this story. I'll be running an article tomorrow, Wednesday the 9th of November 2022. I'll have a lot more information, a lot more links. You can read all the details. A lot more information in relation to the corruption going on in the Health Workers Union, how criminal charges were recommended at the Trade Union Royal Commission. They didn't follow through with those criminal charges. The Fair Work Commission ultimately banned Diana Asmar and others from actually going onto work sites because they had lied and deceived the Fair Work Commission and doing dodgy exams, etc. So there'll be links to all that. You'll be able to read all that information, and I'll be doing follow-up articles as well. And please share this video on Twitter and Facebook, and if you're watching on YouTube, please hit the like and subscribe button. And my Patreon account, which I set up about 10 weeks ago, is currently sitting on 222 supporters. That helps raise money so I can do these videos and the articles, etc. You can donate any amount, $3, $5, $7, $10, $15, $20, whatever suits your budget. Most people can afford $3 or $5 a month, and there'll be links to the Patreon account below the video on YouTube, and also all over the website you can find the Patreon button to hit so you can help out. And other than that, thank you for your time and have a good day.